Hi, my name is Michael. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the worst Blu-rays in my collection, or more specifically, the worst transfers. And it's a bit of a runoff between these two. Now, people always talk about the Predator Hunter Edition, so we'll start with this and try and figure out what's so bad about it. I'll go onto the browser. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so if I go back to one of my favorite sites to look at this kind of thing, it is Capsaholic. And I've got a comparison up between the Ultimate Hunter Edition, which is the more recent release, and then the original Blu-ray that came out quite a while before. In fact, we can have a look at it on dvdcompare.net and see a little bit more about each one. Like the Ultimate Hunter Edition comes with 2 discs, it has a bunch of special features, it's a more recent transfer, you'd think it'd be really, really good. But this was the original release. And there's a clue down here. It should be noted these Ultimate, in inverted commas, releases have heavy DNR applied and are not representable of the look of the movie. The original release, without extras, is free of DNR. So how bad is the DNR, or the digital noise reduction? Well, I think pretty shocking, to be honest. So, this is the Ultimate Hunter Edition. Now, this is Carl Weathers, and he doesn't look like that. So if I hover over, that's what he looks like. Now, yes, there's a lot of grain. It's an old movie. It's not going to look perfect. I don't think it was necessarily shot on the greatest equipment in the world either. But this is how this gentleman looks. And this is not. This is smoothed and smeared and garbage, really. I didn't know this when I bought this Blu-ray. I just saw it. It was a really good deal at the time. I thought, yes, I like Predator. I will buy that. I've since picked up the original one. And it's almost a little bit disappointing because I look at like the total bitrate on this Ultimate Hunter Edition. It's a high bitrate. It's a large file size. There's enough space in there to get all the detail, all the grain, to make it look really nice. But instead they added a lot of digital noise reduction, and it is smeared. It looks terrible. This is how it should look. I mean, there's just a world of difference. Kind of crazy. I think some people might prefer that, but I mean, I really don't. The original release, made, I presume, to fit on a single layer disc. Maybe in the early days of Blu-ray, single layers were all there were, so you had a limited amount of space to deal with. It's a much lower bitrate, but I promise it looks much, much better. It's kind of wild. It should be like half as good almost, as far as the bitrate's concerned, but no, I don't like this at all. And this Hunter Edition, Ultimate Hunter Edition, I mean, I don't really care much about these particular extras. I'll probably just take this to a charity shop. So people talk about this all the time, the Ultimate Hunter Edition. But the film that I really want to talk about is one of my favourites. It's such a good little film. It's like an indie flick called Safety Not Guaranteed. And it's got a great cast. It's made by Colin Trevorrow, very good director. And it was done on a budget. I believe it was less than $1 million. Let's have a quick look. Budget, $750,000. So it didn't have much money. So you shouldn't necessarily expect the greatest image in the world. Although, that being said, it was shot on a digital camera, Sony PMW f3 camera, the f3, with good lenses. So I'm pretty confident that you can get a really good image out of that. It's quite famous, that camera, for being like the first cinema-capable digital camera that was affordable, at least anyway. And it was, good enough to do a 35mm print distribution. And I saw it in the cinema, and I don't remember these issues that I keep coming up with. So yeah, it's a really good film. Let's have a quick look at some videos. I actually made some videos for this. We'll see how good this goes. So the first couple of examples that I have, they're not super obvious, and you could maybe get away with it. I'll go through it. Basically, the image wavers around quite a lot, and there's a lot of blocking, a lot of digital artifacts. It feels just like a really poor transfer, and it's really hard to understand why, because I can't imagine it's entirely down to the source. It might be, but I just, like, this had, a cinematographer, it had a good director, it had a good cast, 750 grand. I mean, it's a very low budget, but at the same time, it's not a student film, it's a proper film. So first example, I've got these on mute. I just want to look in this bottom corner and see how it's like moving around all over the place, and then it's moving around a lot there as well. This shot kind of stabilizes a little bit as it goes on, and I don't. It might have been just like handheld, and it's moving around a lot, and it's super windy. I mean, it's a little bit windy, but I feel like they would have locked this down. Probably, it's just a shot reverse shot kind of. Nothing spectacular about it. I don't think it would have been handheld. If it was, that's an interesting choice. I think they probably would have put it on a tripod just to make it stable. But it's moving a lot, and it's kind of weird. And again, it's a bit better now than it was a few seconds ago, but you find it happens throughout the entire film. Or I do anyway. So, I mean, that, it's just so juddery and weird. And I'm like, how does that happen? That's so weird. And it's a similar story in this shot. It's just bouncing around a lot. This is more likely to have been handheld, I suppose. Maybe it all was, but again, I don't see any reason why it would be, and I don't remember it looking like this. Just moving around so much. And usually, when you have handheld, it's probably for more action-based kind of stuff, and not just people talking in a room. But what do I know? I'm not. I wouldn't critique the director or the cinematographer's ideas here, but it gets, some are just way worse, and they are not indicative of it being like a handheld camera. I wonder if this is the one. This might be the one. So I want you to have a quick pay attention to this door. Hang on, there it is. And see how it just waves around. Look at that, just moving. That's so weird. And that's can't be in camera. It's so bouncing around so much, and it's like wavering loads. That's really, really strange. I just don't see how that could have been a part of the original file when they were exporting this, because the cameras, again, like, they're good cameras. It's renowned for being a pretty good camera, even though it's an affordable one. And this next one is kind of wild too. Pay attention to the background. It's often in the background so you might not catch it first time round because you're paying attention to the characters. Although the smearing, again, on people's faces is kind of pronounced in that shot as well, if you go back and look at that one again. But if you look at this, can you see the noise? It's bizarre all around the background. I just don't see how that's part of what was shot. It's not impossible. Maybe it was shot late at night. It looks like it was shot in the evening. Maybe it's been color graded and they've got no more information back here. But it's blocky as all hell. It's really, really weird. And other people have commented on this. So when I noticed this and went to look at it, I knew I wasn't on my own. But at the same time, it did feel like too much. It was just too much. And that's a real shame, because this is never going to get a 4K release. There's no chance. This is it. In fact, I think it's not had many releases throughout the world. It took another year for it to come out in the UK when I got it. And this is it for this film. And I just can't believe that this is the best we're ever going to get. But it is. This is the best we're ever going to get. I'll have a quick look on here. What else? I don't know if I wanted to talk about anything else with this one, but maybe I looked on the forums on Blu-ray.com, and people talk about it, but a lot of people do put it down to the source. But I mean, if that's the kind of image that you're getting out of that camera, no one would use it, and no one would put those films into cinemas. It just, no chance. So it just feels like a really rushed job to get it out onto a disc as quick and without any real care as they could. I don't know if Colin Trevorrow's ever talked about it. Probably not. But I think for the image quality alone, I reckon this probably is the worst Blu-ray in my collection. One of the best films, but one of the worst transfers I've ever seen. Look at this for a cast. Aubrey Plaza, she's amazing in it. Mark Duplass is great. Jake Johnson plays a pretty annoying character pretty well. Kristen Bell, it's just great. It's a great cast, and yeah, made 4.4 million. So I don't know if this was a film that really sent Colin Trevorrow on his way, but it probably was. And yeah, it's a really good, fun film. It gets put down as a time travel sci-fi kind of film. It's not really about that. You've got to dig a little deeper on it. There's a little sci-fi element towards it, but hardly anything. Apart from like the last couple of minutes. It just doesn't really. And without spoiling it for you, it's more about learning to live with your past and learning to accept that. So it's all the feels. But it is brilliant. And Aubrey Plaza, she's always great, and she's great in this. And it's such a shame. There's another Aubrey Plaza film that I wanted as well. What's it called? I was going to say The Bear. I don't know if that's true or not. Black Bear, that's the one. So I really want that film on Blu-ray, but that's not coming out either. I don't know why. It's a crying shame. I saw Emily the Criminal with Aubrey Plaza. That is getting a Blu-ray. It's not bad. It's not as good as Black Bear, though. Anyway, that's pretty much all there is to say about it. It really is a good idea. I don't suppose Safety Not Guaranteed shows up in here. I doubt it. No. I still recommend watching this film. I wonder if it's better on digital. No idea. Maybe I'll look into that. But if you find it on Blu-ray and it's cheap, then sure. And you might not notice it so much. A lot of people in these comments are saying, "Oh, I didn't notice anything wrong with the picture quality. It's okay. I remember it was fine." There you go. I don't know. It's not fine. It's all over the place. But it is a great film. So, yeah, best to give it a watch. Okay. Right. So that's it for this video. I know that's a bit of a shorter one than usual. But it's always worth checking Capsaholic for different editions that you can find and different versions of the films, even if they're from different countries. We're going to talk about that in the next video. Importing Blu-rays from different countries based primarily on like the product that you're getting. Like the picture quality might vary wildly between different countries. So I've got examples of that I'll show. And how you get hold of those and what platforms you can use to get them. It's a bit of a mess, but sometimes you can find some absolute bargains doing that too. And sometimes films are only released, like in Europe, Germany releases a lot of films that we just don't get in the UK, and it's very bizarre. I really like Ingrid Goes West, which is Aubrey Plaza again, actually. A good example though, because it's a new film, it's a good film, people liked it. No UK Blu-ray, so I had to get the German import, and I'll tell you how I did that and why, and different films. We won't touch on the Spanish grey market films until the video after that, but there's quite a few interesting ones to go through on that as well, especially films that just aren't released anywhere in the world except Spain, and that might sound a bit dodgy because it is. Right, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll be back in a few days, maybe a week, and we'll go through all these different Blu-rays from around the world that I picked up, and maybe how I play them as well. So thanks very much, and I'll see you later.